If you've ever knit a top-down seamless raglan pullover, then there's a really good chance that you've done short row shaping at the back of the neck. And I'm going to tell you that this is a technique that can be rather polarizing for some. There are an awful lot of folks who find that that just doesn't suit their body shape and it is simply not for them. And then of course there are lots of folks who swear by this technique and find that it's the best way to knit a truly seamless garment. And for today's video, I'm here to tell you that it's definitely worth your time to take a look at sweaters that are knit top down with a raglan construction seamlessly for all intents and purposes. However, they do not utilize short row shaping at the back of the neck. Instead, they utilize a technique that is known to some as the staggered start or applied neckband technique, and we're going to be talking about that today. So if that sounds like just your cozy cup of tea, get comfortable and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Midweek Ramble. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. Now, on a recent episode of the Midweek Ramble, I would say about 3 episodes ago, I did an episode where I talked about short row shaping and answered and asked some questions about this technique. In the context of knitting top-down sweaters in the round, short row shaping can be done around the neck to create a little bit of a rise in the back neck and a lowering in the front neck, so it's slightly offset between the front of your crew neck or your collar and the back, because that's just the way that our bodies are shaped. And if you want to know more about all of this, definitely go back and watch that video. I will link to it down below. That video generated even more questions, and a lot of folks were wondering, well, what are some patterns that are being published right now that are utilizing an alternative to short row neck shaping for those of us who just simply don't like the technique. Perhaps we don't like executing short rows at the back neck, perhaps we don't like the way that it fits our body, but we would like to find some published patterns that provide alternatives to that short row neck shaping technique that is ubiquitous at the moment. Now, when it comes to the alternative to using short rows to shape a neck, there's not really a concrete name to the technique. Some refer to it as the staggered start method, and it looks a little bit like this when you get started. Essentially, you're going to cast on your back stitches, your sleeve stitches, and 2 front stitches, and you're going to begin increasing at the fronts of that little strip of stitches and building a crescent shape piece of fabric until you have the stitches that you need to connect to knit in the round, and then you move forward from there. That's what a staggered start neckline looks like when you're knitting a top-down seamless raglan sweater. In fact, I talk an awful lot about Karen Templer's blog series, How to Improvise a Top-Down Raglan Sweater, and that's actually a knit-along that we're going to be starting over on the Patreon for Wool Needles Hands mid-March, and I'm really excited about that. However, that particular blog series talks a lot about this particular method for shaping a neckline without using short rows. And in today's video, I want to share with you sweater patterns that you can find on Ravelry right now in a variety of yarn weights that can get you there. Now, before I just dive in and start sharing these with you, I want to give you a couple of pointers on what to look for if you would like to go kind of exploring this technique on Ravelry and exploring patterns that may use this technique, because it's not something that you can really filter for on Ravelry. You can filter for things like seamless construction, turtleneck, raglan seam. You can filter for all of that on Ravelry if you want to, but because this particular technique doesn't have a set in stone term for what it is, it's really hard to filter for it. So I'm going to show you some things that you can do to look for this technique, or to try to at least filter the results out as much as possible, so it's a little bit more simple to find patterns that match this particular technique criteria. Okay, so what we're going to do is dive into Ravelry right now. That's where I'm at right now. You can see this is the pattern search page on Ravelry. I'm using my laptop, so this is what you see on the desktop website. Instead of searching anything specifically here using the search box, I'm going to click on advanced search. So we're going to do that. And that's going to take me to essentially the browse page on Ravelry, where it's going to provide you just patterns based on really open criteria. So if we look up here at the very top, you see where it says sort by best match. I always like to browse Ravelry. Well, no, I take that back. I don't always. Sometimes I do like to see what's hot right now because I like to see what's new and what people are talking about. That's just something that is important because of what I do here. However, most of the time for personal use, I really like to sort by best match. And then I like to head over here off to the left where it says filter your search. And this is where you can start clicking on things to narrow down what it is that you're looking for. I have a video that shows you how to do this, and I'm going to link to that one down below as well. So if you want to take a deeper dive into how to filter out your search results on Ravelry, highly recommend you watch that video. But for today's purposes, what I'm going to do is a quick and dirty filter to get us to as close as possible to what we're looking for, which is that staggered start neckline for a seamless top-down raglan pullover. So I'm going to go ahead and sort by best match like I have right here, and I'm going to search for the term raglan. Like that. Oh, and you know what I didn't realize? So the reason I was going to search for raglan was because I did not think that there was a filter over here for raglan, but now I'm realizing that there might be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight clothing. I'm going to go down to sweater, and this is particularly for pullovers. Cardigans can be done this way as well, but we're going to just focus on pullovers. And then I'm going to scroll down past all of this. I'm going to click on knitting because we're talking about knitting today. If you want things to be free, you can do that. You can specify you want it to be free. I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. Okay. Construction. Right here where it says attributes. Construction. This is where I'm going to tap on all of the elements of construction that would be included in this sweater. So this is going to be, I'm working on going down here, one piece, seamless. I do not want to click on short rows. Now, just because they do a staggered start neckline doesn't mean they're not going to include short rows. We're just specifically referring to short row shaping at the back of the neck up here. The sweaters may include short row shaping somewhere else, but we're trying to find an alternative to that short row neck shaping in particular. So I'm not going to click on that for right now. Let's see, top down, worked in the round. Now, I am going to click on worked flat because the very beginning of this is knit flat. You knit back and forth before combining things to work in the round. So there is a flat knitting element to this that you want to be aware of. So I'm going to include that as well. Now, I did not find, let's see, I'm wondering if raglan, maybe shapes has raglan. No, I don't see it. Oh, you know what? I wonder if it's the sleeve. Yes, okay, it's under sleeve. I apologize. So now we can get busy here. So raglan sleeve, duh. I don't know why I didn't consider that. And that's as far as I'm going to go to filter. And I'm going to leave it there. Now you're going to get all kinds of results here. And that's okay. We are specifically looking for the neck shaping that is a staggered start, meaning it starts flat and then it's connected to knit in the round. How are we going to know which of these uses that technique just by looking at the pictures? Well, I will tell you a couple of hints. The first thing to consider is you cannot get a V-neck using short row shaping alone on the back neck. For example, the Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit, this is a V-neck sweater. She did not create that neckline using short row shaping at the back of the neck. You just simply can't do it. So she would have had to use a staggered start neckline here to create this. And to check to see if that's the case, I'm going to go up here to projects and see if anybody has photos of the beginning of their project. And that's going to give me some clues as to how this particular pattern begins. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm putting the cart before the horse. What you can very easily do is go down here into the description and read, because not most of the time, but a lot of the time, the designer is going to give you a little insight to how this is constructed. So it says here, the Cumulus blouse is worked from the top down in stockinette stitch with 2 strands of thin mohair silk held together. The design has a deep rounded V-neck. All edges are finished with I-cord. Okay, she doesn't say anything there in terms of like how you create that neckline. Now I want to go into the projects and see if I can find a project photo from a knitter who has like an early photo where they would have shown how they cast it on. Okay, if you notice it got a little brighter in here, I just opened some blinds in front of me to kind of help let some light come in because that sun is just in and out. Now, we've struck gold with the Cumulus T. If you look here at Ariana Gatian's Cumulus T on her lap, you can see that she is knitting this using the staggered start method. There is a crescent of fabric there that she is getting to a certain point, and then she will be picking up stitches, not picking up stitches, connecting things to knit in the round. By looking at this photo, you know that this is employing the staggered start method and not using short row shaping. So look at project pages under patterns that you suspect use this technique, because that will help to confirm whether or not it is indeed using this technique if the designer does not specify this in the actual pattern. Okay, so I want to go here to Bibliophile. This is an Alicia Plummer pattern. This is an awesome sweater. I feel like we're just going to get right into those sweaters. This is not one I had plans on sharing, but this is a beautiful sweater for, look at this on this man and on this woman. Ooh. Good idea for Brandon sweaters. Okay, it says at the very bottom of the description of this sweater on the pattern page on Ravelry, this sweater is worked from the top down, flat to start, and then joined in the round at the center front when the neckline shaping is completed. Sleeves and neckline are worked seamlessly in the round. That is what you will read, or some situation like that, in the description of a pattern if they are using the staggered start method. That's what you want to look for, and that's how you know that this is not using short row shaping to create that neckline. This is a gorgeous sweater. Let's just go ahead and add this to our list. The Bibliophile 3 by Alicia Plummer. Beautiful top down raglan seam sweater, like classic with that rolled neckline. No short row shaping at the back neck, and I really love that. And I think that that would fit my husband's body or a male masculine form really nicely. So I love that. So a couple things to think about when you are looking for patterns on Ravelry that use this technique, because it is kind of hard to filter for it. Okay, so now that we're done with that, I want to get into a few additional patterns that I already can confirm for you are using the staggered start method to shaping the neckline. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. I will pop up my screen from my phone. I use the Ravelry app, which is a third-party application for Ravelry. I highly recommend it. Not sponsored or affiliated in any way. It's just I paid for it and I use it and I love it. Now, the first pattern I want to share with you is one that I have had in my favorites for quite some time. It is a beautiful sweater, and it's one that I really want to knit for myself because it has some visual interest while also being just a very comfy pullover style sweater that I absolutely love. This is called the Cosmo sweater, and this is the adult version of the Cosmo sweater. This is a pattern by Simone Ryan. It utilizes DK weight yarn, and she's using Lang Yarn's Lace Mohair Super Kids Silk and Alpaca Socks 4-ply. So wow, this has alpaca in it and mohair. What a luxurious sweater. But I love this sweater because you get a really classic raglan style sweater with that interesting kind of V, that textured V that goes down the front, which I feel like is very flattering. This color on this woman here with her, ooh, how pretty that orange is, so pretty. Okay, the sun is coming back now. Now you can see this photo that I'm showing you here. This is one of the project photos for the Cosmo sweater, and you can tell by looking at this that she has just connected the two fronts together with casted on stitches to create that circular neckline. Other than that, she was working back and forth to create that crescent shape, and that's how you can tell that the staggered start method is being used on this sweater. So that is the Cosmo sweater by Simone Ryan, a really excellent top-down raglan sweater that is knit seamlessly and uses that staggered start method. Okay, the next pattern I want to share with you is called Jaden by Isabel Kramer. This is a unisex design, however the photos here show it on a man's body, which is excellent. This one is knit using that staggered start method, and the reason I know that is because if I go down into the description of the sweater, it says Jaden is a cozy sweater worked seamlessly from the top down. The yoke of the sweater is worked in double seed stitch, first worked back and forth, then worked in the round. Those keywords let me know that this is using the staggered start approach. It even says knitting starts with the cast on of the back neck and sleeve cap stitches, and the yoke is first worked back and forth until neck shaping is complete. Now let's take a look at this because it's really beautiful. Just a classic, long, kind of boxy number, and he's wearing hiking boots here. It's totally fitting my hiking sweater vibe, and I love it. Ooh, I love this green one. I like a little bit more room in this. This is nice. So that is the Jaden by Isabel Kramer. This is a worsted weight sweater as well. So this is a really solid option. I need to add that to my ideas of future sweaters for Brandon. But that is Jaden, and it is knit using the staggered start method. Okay, the next one is a design by Alexandra Tavel of Two of Wands, and this is one that a lot of you mentioned on that short rows video as being a top-down raglan sweater that uses the staggered start method. This is called the Autumn League pullover, and it is such a nice raglan sweater. It has those like kind of league sweatshirt vibes. It has the little X shape right here. It's just really clever and I love it. And it looks so, so cozy. It's a DK weight sweater. Oh, and it even has a really nice split hem, but it also mentions here updated as of October 5th of 2022. This pattern has been updated to include 8 sizes and now features an in the round construction, which I'm wondering if she's using in that version, the short row shaping at the back neck. But if I go to the project pages for this, okay, yeah, right here. So looking at this particular picture here, this is just a red sweater. You can see there's no collar added here. And you can also tell that in the front where that little X shows up, in the front, those are the casted on stitches to help connect the two fronts together. So you can look at this and this is what it looks like when you have a staggered start neckline before coming back, picking up the stitches to add your collar. So that's how I can look at this and know that this neckline was shaped using the staggered start and not the short row shaping technique. However, it sounds like now she does have the short row options or some other kind of seamless option in her sweater. So that's available for you as well. But that's the Autumn League pullover, a really lovely, just kind of quintessential sweatshirt style pullover by Alexandra Tavel. All right, this next one is by Sari Nordland, and it is an absolutely gorgeous all over cabled sweater. It's just stunning, and it's seamless, and it's top down, and it's raglan, and it uses the staggered start method. It's called the Aelia pullover. And if I go down, it's a DK weight sweater. If we go to the project pages, and this is kind of how I confirmed that this is how this pattern is knit. Okay, right here, you can see with this red sweater, you can see the markers are placed for the raglans. You can see that they're separating the sleeves and the front and the back. And you can tell where in the middle there, some new stitches have been casted on to combine everything to knit in the round. Again, this is what you will typically see at the beginning when there's neck shaping happening using this technique. That is just an absolutely stunning sweater. So that is the Aelia pullover by Sari Nordland. Okay, the next one I want to share with you is by Jacqueline Sislak. This is called the Ursa. This is a very popular top-down V-neck raglan sweater. It's beautiful, it's boxy, it's cropped. I love it. And it's a bulky weight sweater, which is really beautiful. Now, again, this has a really significant V-neck, and you can't achieve that with short rows alone at the neck shaping. So this was knit using that staggered start approach. The pattern description doesn't specifically state that you begin by knitting flat and then combine to knit in the round. However, I looked at the project photos and that because of the V neckline, and that was what gave it away to me. So you can see here that this is that quintessential look of the staggered start neckline. It's that crescent of stitches. She's building her V-neck and then she'll add additional stitches, maybe one additional stitch, and then combine it to knit in the round. This is how you can tell that short rows are not being used to shape this neckline. And it's beautiful. And again, it's the only way to get a really beautiful, deep V like that. And that is the Ursa by Jacqueline Sislak, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So there you have it, a few sweater knitting patterns that are top-down, raglan, seamless, but use that staggered start approach to building and shaping a neckline. It gives you a lot more variety, a lot more opportunity for modification, and it's just a little something different than the usual, or like I said, ubiquitous short row shaping at the back neck to shape a neckline sweater. There's, again, nothing wrong with using that technique, but it is an interesting discussion to have, and it's interesting to listen to folks who've knit an awful lot of sweaters who will tell you that if you want a better fitting raglan sweater, this is the way to construct your neckline. And I plan on knitting a lot more sweaters using this technique in the future, and like I said, the upcoming knit along over on the Wool Needles Hands Patreon is going to be all about this particular method. So if you're interested and you want to try your hand at a sweater like this, you want to to try your hand at modification and improvisation and you want a really great group of people to do it with, head over to Patreon and see if it's right for you. Your support is greatly appreciated and we would love to have you over there. But again, this is something I really want to explore more in future sweaters. And I'm excited to do so because I do think there is something to the whole better fit argument. And I'm interested to learn more for myself. Thank you so much for joining me for this ramble today. If you took value from this video or enjoyed yourself at any point, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click that bell icon so you can be notified anytime I upload new content here on the channel, which is every Wednesday and every Sunday. And until I see you for Sunday's episode of the Knitting Podcast, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.